Welcome to Brainish English Stories.
A garden in the west of England, about 250 years ago. It was an old-style garden with neat hedges made of yew trees, a sundial, and a quiet corner with shade. In this corner, two people were standing. One was a man, about 40 years old, tall and good-looking. The other was a woman, younger by about 15 years, graceful and beautiful. Both were wearing cloaks and speaking in soft, worried voices. The man said, "You did well, my love. It was a hard job, but you finished it. Now remember, this secret is only for you and me. Keep it safe, for your own safety and for our little baby. If bad times come, this hidden treasure could help you and our child." He took her arm, and they went into the house. The man was Sir Ralph Treyvern. He supported the king during the Civil War. He had come home quickly to hide his most important things and to plan for his wife, Sybil, and their baby to leave for Exeter. Exeter was still loyal to the king, and he thought it would be safer for them than their home in Devonshire, where neighbors supported the Parliament. Sybil stayed in Exeter until the spring of 1646, when the city had to surrender. By then, she was a widow with no land. Sir Ralph had died in a battle at Marston Moor, and his land was taken away. She was grateful when some friends, who had escaped to France with Queen Henrietta Maria, invited her to come to Paris. Sybil went to Paris with her baby. Sybil could not return to her old home, as it now belonged to her enemies. She remembered her husband's secret instructions about the treasure. She did not tell anyone about it, not even her friends. "I will tell our son when he is old enough to understand," she thought. But she never lived to see her son grow up. The troubles and sadness she faced made her weak. She passed away when her son, Ralph, was still a little boy. Hiding treasures in secret places often causes problems. Sybil had told her son about the hidden treasure. She hoped that if they could ever go back to England, they would find it. To help her son remember, she made a rhyme. "Near the water, by the fern, the Treyvern's secret you shall learn." Little Ralph heard this many times. When he grew up, this rhyme was his only clue to the treasure. The things Sir Ralph had hidden were very valuable. There were important papers, family heirlooms, and a special collection of jewels. The most precious was a necklace of rubies and diamonds. It had been in the Treyvern family since the time of Queen Elizabeth I. One of their ancestors, a sailor with Drake and Hawkins, had taken it from a Spanish ship as a prize. When he was a child, the young Sir Ralph heard about the family jewels from his mother and old servants. They described the beautiful treasure, but only the dead knew where it was hidden. Sir Ralph grew up, returned to England after the king came back to power, and after many delays, got back his small family land. For months, he searched carefully for the treasure. He looked all along the lake and around the big pond, but he found nothing. The neighbors said he was strange and possibly a little mad. They saw him walking around with his head down, searching with worried eyes. As time went on, Sir Ralph became bitter and unfriendly. His land was in bad condition, and he needed the treasure to pay off debts and repair the family's fortunes. Lady Treyvern often told her husband that maybe the man who lived on the land during Cromwell's time had already found the jewels and kept them secret. But Sir Ralph believed the treasure was still there, near the water and by the fern. He never stopped hoping. When Sir Ralph died, his will showed that he still believed in the treasure. He left it to his younger son and his family. But Lady Treyvern, a practical woman, did not believe in the treasure. She did not want her sons to waste their lives searching for it. She convinced them it was hopeless, and as years went by, the story of the treasure became just a family legend. The fern said nothing, and the water kept its secret. In the 1700s, the Treyvern family still had bad luck. Roger Treyvern, the older son who inherited the land, struggled to take care of his large family. The younger son, Richard, got involved in the Jacobite Rising of 1715. After losing in battle, he fled to Holland and died in exile. He left behind a poor orphan girl, his daughter, Mary. Roger, a kind man, welcomed Mary into his family without complaint. She grew up with her cousins, loved by everyone. But when Mary became a young woman, her aunt, Madame Treyvern, started to feel differently. Madame Treyvern, a smart and ambitious woman, cared deeply for her children's future. She did not want her oldest son, Dick, who would inherit the struggling estate, to marry Mary. Mary was beautiful and kind, but she had no money to help the family. Madame Treyvern believed that Dick must marry someone with enough money to help the family pay their debts. Mary understood her aunt's feelings. She knew about the family's struggles and agreed, though it made her sad. She realized that marrying Dick would only cause trouble for them both. But love and common sense don't always go together. Even though Dick and Mary never spoke about their feelings, they had fallen deeply in love. Mary often thought about the hidden treasure. It was her only hope, small and distant, but still a hope. If only the poor girl had some money, I would be happy to see our Dick marry her, Madame Treyvern said to her husband one day. Mary is a good girl, and she is already like a daughter to us. But, Roger, it is foolish to even think of such a marriage now. It would be like hunger marrying thirst. Dick must find a wife who brings at least a little fortune. And isn't there Mistress Cynthia at the Hall? She is young, pretty, and has a good dowry. She already seems to like him. Roger Treyvern sighed. He truly liked Mary and would have been glad to see her marry his son. But he knew his wife was right. Such a marriage would be hopeless. Then Madame Treyvern shared her plan with her husband. She wanted to send Mary to live with a distant relative in London. "You are wasting your youth here with us, child," Madame Treyvern said kindly but not honestly to Mary one day. "Our cousin Martin would be happy to have you as a companion for his sick wife." In London, you could see the world and maybe marry someone rich. Then you would laugh at us poor country folk." Mary listened, but tears filled her eyes. She silently agreed to leave. She was ready to go to London, as Madame Trayvern wanted. It was Mary's last day in her old home. Her simple belongings were packed, and the old wagon driver was coming the next day. He would take Mary and her uncle to Exeter. From there, they would travel slowly to London, which seemed so far away and strange to Mary. Dick, her cousin, had been sent away for a few weeks. He didn't know that Mary was leaving. Madame Trayvern had planned it this way, so the two cousins wouldn't say goodbye. She had decided everything very quickly. Maybe it's for the best, Mary thought sadly as she walked around the garden for the last time. She went to the old mossy well, where she and Dick had often sat and talked on warm summer evenings. This time, she sat there alone. Mary's heart was heavy, and she felt very sad. She couldn't stop thinking about what might have been. If only a kind fairy could reveal the hidden treasure now, how happy she would be. Her quiet thoughts were interrupted by the younger children. Mary was their favorite, and they had begged to stay up late since it was her last night at home. Tom, Will, Sally, and Ben were upset about their Molly leaving. They cried loudly when they heard the news. Their mother tried to calm them, saying one day, "Cousin Molly might come back to visit us. Maybe she will be a great lady riding in a fine coach with 6 horses. She will bring you picture books and sweet gingerbread." Mary felt a strange pain in her heart as the children climbed onto her lap and hugged her tightly. Their love was loud and rough, but she didn't push them away. But Mary hadn't chosen her quiet seat near the old well for noisy play. It wasn't a safe place for children to be wild. Suddenly, their happy shouts turned into a loud cry, followed by a splash. Mary froze as she realized what had happened. Little Will, the 4-year-old baby of the family, had slipped on the edge of the well and fallen in. He had dropped his toy into the water as he fell. In a flash, Mary jumped up. She grabbed the bucket and told the older boys to turn the handle that lifted it. Her face was pale, but her voice was calm and firm. She lowered herself into the well, ready to rescue her cousin. At the bottom of the well, Mary found Little Will hanging by his clothes on a hook that stuck out from the wall. She quickly freed him from the hook. But just as she was about to signal the boys to pull them up, something caught her eye. Near the water, by the fern, what was this? There, near the hook, was a large hole in the side of the well. Inside the hole was the long-lost Trayvern treasure. Even though many years had passed, the jewel box was still there. Some of the leather had rotted, but the jewels sparkled brightly, just as they had before. The silver cups and jugs were a little dirty, but still in good condition. The papers in the metal case were also safe. These papers were very important to Roger Trayvern. They helped him prove his right to some land that had been in dispute. This land was enough to pay off all the debts on the estate. As for Mary, she saved Little Will and gave him back to his mother. Then she took Dick, the eldest son, into her own arms.